Hey trainers, thanks for joining me on this recap for my Mirror Cup Regionals tournament, which took place just this past weekend down here in San Diego, California. So this tournament was actually a collaboration between our local San Diego Rainbow League and the California PoGo League. So technically they were the hosts of this tournament, as you could see. They listed as the host. So we were expecting this tournament to be pretty big because it was a collaboration. I think their tournament organizer reached out to several groups. So they're based in, I think Long Beach it was, and they reached out to a lot of other groups in the LA area, but unfortunately, like, not too many people came down. It's probably just end of season one. People were kind of burnt out from it all. Maybe they had other plans. So we had 25 people signed up, but then there's also some issues with the Sylph website at the start of our tournament, so a couple people also left, and we ended up with just 18 people, which is okay. It was still enough to have 5 rounds, which was pretty good. So we see with 18 people, I didn't do as well as I'd hoped. I ended up finishing 3-2. That's okay. This guy, Crypto Arctic from LA, ended up taking home the trophy for this tournament. He had a very I think a really well thought out strategy that I think a lot of us weren't really expecting or prepared for it, so he was able to get the best of us. He did actually battle against several people that have won tournaments down here. So it's not like he had an easy way to the top. So he did beat several strong trainers. So if we look at my team, you see that I run the 3 meta staples, which are Skarmory, Azumarill, and Medicham. And I picked Probopass as my Skarmory counter. And I had Double Grass just because there's a lot of strong water-type Pokemon in this meta. Azumarill, Swampert being a new one, as well as Lantern as a possible Skarmory counter. And there's even a Quagsire and the other mud boys like Whiscash being decent picks as well. And I just wanted to be able to discourage people from using those too much, especially not using 2 out of their 3 Pokemon taken into battle being water-type Pokemon. So we look at movesets. The Skarmory has the standard Air Slash, Flash Cannon, Sky Attack. I actually caught this one just a couple days before my tournament, and it does hit the defensive breakpoint against Medicham. So I think it's rank number 30-something overall. The number 1 ranked Skarmory would have a 0 attack, 15 defense, and 14 HP. And this one is the same level and has 15 defense as well, so it's able to hit the defensive bulk point against Medicham, so it will take 1 less counter damage, which helps it. Medicham will still win if it burns both shields to Skarmory's 1. But in order to do so, it would have to use a 3rd Power Punch and burn its energy, so it won't be able to get a charge move off on the next Pokemon that comes in. And then for Tropius, this one I traded from a friend that travels to Africa regularly for work. So it has Razor Leaf right now, but I actually ran it with Air Slash for regionals. I changed it back just because of a Tempest Cup that I'm doing as well. But it had Air Slash for regionals, and the reason why I chose Air Slash was to be able to be another counter to Medicham, and also beat Venusaur, which it would normally lose to with Razor Leaf. And it still beats Gallade, and actually beats Gallade better. And in case it got locked in against a Skarmory, Air Slash would be a little bit better, and be able to do a little bit more damage just in case it needed to. And it still retains its positive matchups against water types, because Air Slash does charge energy at a decent rate, and Leaf Blade requires only 35 energy, so it's able to fire off those Leaf Blades pretty quick, and still take out the water types. And then for Venusaur, I ran Razor Leaf just because I wanted to switch it up, and people would probably assume that Venusaur would have Vine Whip and Tropius would have Razor Leaf, so this way I thought maybe I could catch people off guard a little bit. And then Venusaur with Razor Leaf would lose to a Vine Whip Venusaur, but that's what Tropius with Air Slash is for. And also with Razor Leaf, it's actually able to just barely beat or at worst tie Gallade, because Razor Leaf is just so strong and Venusaur is a little bit bulkier than Gallade. So normally in this meta, Gallade is a pseudo grass pick, so Gallade, Venusaur, and Tropius all serve as checks or counters to water types. And then Gallade would beat Venusaur, Venusaur would beat Tropius, and Tropius would beat Gallade. But in this case, both my Tropius and Venusaur would beat Gallade, and then my Tropius would actually be able to be opposing Venusaur's because of Air Slash. And then for Probopass, I went Spark, Rock Slide, and Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt was the go-to move, like the sure move in this meta, because it's able to hit Skarmory harder, and also be able to take out Azumarill faster. A Thunderbolt will do take about almost half of Azumarill's HP. So in case it was late game and shields are down and you don't want to get taken out by Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt was important to have. And then as for Rock Slide versus Magnet Bomb, Rock Slide has better coverage against Tropius and potential Alterias, and it's also just a stronger neutral hit overall. Magnet Bomb is better against fairies, but Probopass usually has an easy time with fairies anyway. They don't have any coverage moves that hurt Probopass particularly hard. And then Magnet Bomb would be better in case they got locked in against a Medicham or a Gallade when shields are down. But I decided that the stronger neutral hit and the coverage with the Rock Slide would be more important, so I went with that. And then for Azumarill, I ran Ice Beam and Play Rough. I did debate using Hydro Pump just in case I had a late game when shields are down against one of the Steel Tanks or Skarmory, but I ended up not using it as in the late game scenario. I used it as a lead or in the mid game, and it ended up being more important because I did have some Azumarill mirror matches, and there's also one match where I was going up against a Lantern with Water Gun, and I was actually able to beat Lantern by burning both shields, just because a Water Gun takes quite a while to charge enough energy to hit those Thunderbolts and doesn't do very much damage on its own. And of course, Medicham with Counter, Power Punch, and Ice Punch. Alright, so in round 1, I'm going up against Emily Elizabeth. And you see her team right there. She has Lantern, Venusaur, Swampert, Toxicroak, Wigglytuff, and Skarmory. I decided to lead with Azumarill. She leads with Skarmory, and this is a pretty even matchup in the one shield scenario, or even I think in all even shield scenarios, ends up being about a tie. Although IVs can make a small difference. So there she shields the first Ice Beam. Here I'm going to tank the Sky Attack. And then she's going to switch out, so I get ready. It's a Wigglytuff, so I switched out to Probopass. And my third Pokemon is a Tropius. And here I'm going to hit her with a Magnet Bomb. Or a Rock Slide, I'm sorry. And she decides to shield. So now I am up 2 shields to 0. This Ice Beam is not going to do very much damage. I'm going to hit her with another Rock Slide. And then here, I'm going to try to farm a little bit of energy. But then I sense that she's getting close to another charge move and I don't want to burn a shield, so I just hit this Rock Slide to take out the Wigglytuff. And then she's going to come in with Toxicroak. Going to take me out with 1 counter. And I come in with Tropius. And this is one matchup, even though it's off meta. Air Slash doesn't make a difference. Here I'm going to decide to shield, because even if it's a Mud Bomb, she won't be able to get to a Sludge Bomb after. So here I know it's a Mud Bomb, so I'm not going to shield. And then she comes in with Skarmory again. I have enough energy for an Aerial Ace, so I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to hit another one. Skarmory is her last Pokemon right now, so after I hit this, I'm going to switch out to not let her... Actually, she hits the Sky Attack, so that's okay too. And I come back in with Azumarill, and I have an Ice Beam ready to go, so that should be enough to take out Skarmory, or just after a couple more bubbles. that's game 1. So as you can see, she opted for Toxicroak as her counter user. I'm not sure why she didn't go with Medicham, but Toxicroak, it's good in certain metas, but definitely not a very strong pick in regionals. So for battle number 2, I lead off with Skarmory this time, and again she leads off with Skarmory as well. There you see I have Venusaur and Probopass in the back. And here I know she has a Sky Attack, so I'm not going to shield this. And then I'm just going to go straight for the Flash Cannon because I don't think that she'll shield it, since I didn't shield her charge move just now. So that puts me up a little bit. Here again, I know it's just a Sky Attack, so I'm not going to bother shielding this. And then here I'm going to farm up a little bit of extra energy to make her, or actually I do go for the Flash Cannon. I think she shields this time. And here I think, yeah, I decided to shield because I should be able to win this mirror match at this point. Just gotta hit the Sky Attack. And either she burns her last shield, which is not really worth it, or I end up winning the lead-off match. So now I have switch advantage. She comes in with Swampert, and it is able to take me down despite doing very little damage with Mudshot. Since I was low on health, I come in with Venusaur, gonna tank this Hydro Cannon, and these Razor Leafs are just gonna shred through it really quick, and she doesn't switch out. And now it's Wigglytuff, and I'm able to burn her last shield with this Frenzy Plant. Also taking huge chunks of damage with Razor Leaf. And I come in with Probopass, hit this Rock Slide, and that's game 2. So good games to her. I think she might have expected me to lead off with Venusaur, which is why she led with Skarmory both times. But mine has Razor Leaf, so it's a bit riskier. So worked out for me, luckily. And now going into round 2. I lead off with Azumarill. I'm going up against Am9. I have Azumarill, Tropius, and Skarmory in the back. I didn't expect him to lead off with Ivysaur or Lantern, so I thought Azumarill was a pretty safe lead in this case. And he also leads off with Skarmory, so again, this is a pretty even matchup. I go for the Ice Beam, I hit that first, and then I wanted to switch out and tank the Sky Attack with my Skarmory, but looks like we hit the charge move at the same time, so I wasn't able to get that. And then here, he timed to switch really nicely to tank this Ice Beam from my Azumarill. And so now I'm going to follow his switch to Tropius, going to hit this Leaf Blade. He is going to shield, I believe. We lag a little bit here. Actually thought we might have needed a restart, but luckily it goes through. Actually, he doesn't shield there. Then he's going to hit a Thunderbolt. I'm just going to tank this because I know Tropius is bulky, so it will be able to tank this. And then now I'm going to farm up a little bit of energy and then hit a Leaf Blade. Either make him shield, which he does, or take him out, and actually have another Leaf Blade ready to go already, which he shields again, just so that he can hit his Thunderbolt. But I'm going to shield here just to keep my Tropius alive, just to take out his Lantern. So I think that was a misplay on his part, using shields when it was a losing matchup anyway. And then here I'm expecting him to come back in with Skarmory, so I immediately switched to match his Skarmory, because I don't want him to farm me for energy. He follows my switch to Sableye, expecting me to bring a Medicham. Here I'm not going to, actually I do shield. I shield one, and then I'm just going to farm him down with Air Slashes, because I know I could tank. I feel pretty confident I could tank a Foul Play if needed. which I do just a little bit. And now I have a flash cannon ready to go when his Skarmory comes back in, so I'm gonna hit that immediately. And then that's enough to take out his Skarmory. So you see he has an Ivysaur, Lantern, Skarmory, Swampert, Sableye, and Medicham. So looking at his team, there isn't really any reason for me to use Medicham, which is why I didn't in the first game, although here I do have it in the back. I figured after I didn't use Medicham the first time, he probably wouldn't use Sableye this time. Yeah, so I lead off with Venusaur, expecting that he would probably lead with Lantern that time to counter my Azumarill. He switches to Skarmory. I follow switch to Medicham, hit this power up punch. And maybe we'll hit a second one before he gets to Sky Attack. And you'll shield that one. And then here I'm gonna shield this, I think, because I don't want to waste my Medicham's boosts. And we'll take him down with just counter. And this is where the Skarmory's defense bulk point does make a difference, because now I had a charge move ready to go. He still has shield, so I probably should have gone for the power punch, since I know he'll probably shield anyway just to be safe, but I think I am able to hit another one just before fainting. I mean, this is going to do a lot of damage. Actually, it's going to take out his Ivysaur. And then there, I think I tried to switch out to not let him farm energy, and then it brought up this switch when I got stuck there, which was fine. It goes away once I get hit by the charge move. I'm gonna hit this play rough and then switch immediately to Venusaur and just take him down with Razed Leaf. And so that's game 2. Good games to Ammonite. And now moving on to round 3. We're going up against 8 Rock TK. You see his team. It's very similar to, I think the only difference being that he has a Venusaur instead of Ivysaur. So I lead off with Tropius, since I felt like that was a pretty safe lead, except Skarmory was obviously the only problem. And it has Azumarill as a safe switch in, because I knew if I could at least get an energy lead on Venusaur or Lantern, then I could make it close just by burning shields. And luckily for me, his Lantern has Water Gun, so that's going to do very little damage to me. It's going to take quite a while to charge up enough energy to hit a Thunderbolt. So I know that he's probably not going to want to shield. He probably won't want to burn both his shields on this. But I'm willing to burn my shields to save my Azumarill, just to regain switch advantage. And I think here he's going to shield, but since Water Gun does charge energy very slowly, I am able to hit this player up before he gets to a Thunderbolt. So kind of a waste of a shield by him, but it was lucky for me. So now we're both down our shields. I have a slight advantage. Here I stay in to try to get Ice Beam, but he hits the Sky Attack. And then I'm going to come in with Skarmory to match him. And since shields are down, I'm going to go for, I think, a Flash Cannon and a Sky Attack, since that will be enough to KO. So I hit the Sky Attack first. Takes him to half, and then, so here I know with Air Slash damage, 2 Flash Cannons is just about enough to take out an opposing Skarmory with the added Air Slash damage. So here I charge up a little bit of extra and then hit the Flash Cannon before he could get to another Sky Attack. So now he's down, and now it's Sableye, so I'm able to hit this Sky Attack before he takes me out. And then I'm going to switch immediately to Tropius. I know Tropius is bulky enough to tank a Power Gem. And then I can just take him down with Air Slash. And so that's round 3. Good games to 8 Rock TK. Actually, that's just the first game. So now we're going into our second battle. So this time I decided to just do the same thing because since his Lantern does have Water Gun, I know I could win that with my Azumarill if I just have an energy lead. Because really Tropius' only bad matchup is Skarmory. So again, he leads with Skarmory. I do the same thing. He takes a little long on that switch, which is good for me. I think if he had been expecting the same thing and had followed my switch immediately, it might have made the difference. Just because then I wouldn't have as much of an energy advantage. So he tanks the first play rough. I think he's gonna tank one more, or he's gonna shield that one. And then I'm actually able to hit another play rough here. And then he's gonna hit me with another Thunderbolt, which I'm gonna shield. And now he is low in health, and since Water Gun does take a very long time to charge, I'm actually able to just farm him down with Bubble. So he does still preserve his shield, which is okay, because I have switch advantage this time, or again I should say. And then here again I try to switch out to Skarmory, but we tied to the charge move, so I'm not able to. And takes out my Azumarill, so I'm gonna come back in with Skarmory to match his. And then here I know, so he switches to Medicham, which it's probably an okay switch. And then I switch out to Tropius just in time to tank this Power Up Punch. And then I know that an Aerial Ace will just about KO. I think he's able to survive just barely and hit an Ice Punch, which will, I think, almost take me out, but I'm able to get off one more Air Slash. And I come back with Skarmory. He has no energy, so I'm able to take him out with just quick moves. And now I know I'll be able to tank his charge move, even if it was his Flash Cannon. And then here, Flash Cannon will be enough to take out his Skarmory. So good games there. And that is round 3. So up to this point, I was doing pretty well. I was feeling pretty confident. But now we go into round 4, and I'm going up against Crypto Tony, who did end up winning the tournament. So I lead off with Tropius. Since I see 2 waters on his team, which are the only thing I have to worry about is Skarmory lead, and Probopass, which I feel like he wouldn't lead off with. But my Tropius would beat his Venusaur, as well as Azumarill and Quagsire, and Medicham, so I feel pretty comfortable leading off with Tropius. And then I have Azumarill and Medicham in the back, so here I think this is a pretty positive matchup. I think he might switch out, so I'm going to overcharge a little bit. Don't want him to switch and then into Skarmory and then waste my energy on that. But he doesn't. We tied to the charge move. He's doing the Acid Spray. Yeah, I was going to shield it regardless of what it was, because I know Tropius is bulky. And then here, again, I expected him to switch, which if I had just gone for the Leaf Blade, it would have worked out better for me. So I wanted to shield just in case it was a Stone Edge. But he got a second Acid Spray on me. And now he's going to come with Skarmory, which I kind of expected. I tried to switch, but was a little slow on that. I switched to Azumarill. He follows my switch to Venusaur. I'm going to hit this Ice Beam. And then I get his last shield. This right here was a mistake. I should have just let this one go through, because then I could have come back in with Tropius and at least taken down his Venusaur that way. I am able to land this Ice Beam, but it's not going to be enough to KO. And then he is able to get to a Frenzy Plant before me, so I really should have saved my shield at that point. And then I come in with Medicham, and I think I wanted to switch out really quick, but he already had enough energy for his charge move, so yeah, at this point I know my Tropius is not going to be able to hurt the Skarmory, so it's pretty much game one right there. So I know like what I could have done better would have just been to go for those Leaf Blades quickly, because looking at the Sims, I could get to my charge moves faster than Quagsire can get to his. But again, I was just afraid that he might time a switch to Skarmory. So here this time, I decided to lead with Venusaur, and has Razor Leaf, so he switches immediately. So I follow a switch a little late on that, but I follow a switch to my Skarmory. And I'm just gonna farm him down with just Air Slash, save all my energy for whatever he comes in with next. And then I think he comes back in with Quagsire here. I'm just gonna hit him with a Sky Attack. So yeah, I'm gonna hit him with another Sky Attack. And he shields the second one. And there, I think I tried to switch. I decided to just let this go through. Even if it was a Stone Edge, that was fine. I switched to Venusaur, which I probably didn't need to do. And then, because now his Skarmory is just going to be able to farm me. But I can at least do some damage to make it easier for my Azumarill at the end. Here I decided to come back in with Skarmory. I think I do burn one shield here, just to be able to get off my charge move. And then he's going to shield as well. And then this time I'm just going to let it go, because now I'll have a shield advantage, which is I think good enough for me. So I'm just going to farm him down with bubbles here. I'm going to shield this. He switches to Quagsire, so I go immediately for the Ice Beam to take out his Quagsire. And he comes back in with Skarmory, and then I'm just going to be able to take him down with just Bubble. So that match was, I played that a lot better. I think with just 3 games, it's not enough to figure out really what your opponent is trying to do. I think he ended up running the same 3 Pokemon in at least in all 3 of our battles. But I didn't expect him to do that, so I led with Skarmory this time. Although I wish I just led with Venusaur or Tropius again. I'm not going to shield this. Even if it's Stone Edge, I know it won't do too much. And then I got the Sky Attack. He's going to take that one. And then here, I think I don't shield here, but then I was trying to farm him down with just Air Slash, and I was just a little short, so I decided to shield here, but he hits me with another Acid Spray, which was, I guess, a smart play by him. He comes in with his Skarmory, so now I'm just going to go try to do as much damage on the Skarmory as I can. And then I switch, which I think was probably another mistake. Really, I could have just tried to do as much damage there as I could before going down. There I know he's not going to shield, so I'm just gonna go for the Power Punch. And an unboosted Ice Punch wouldn't be that effective anyway. And then here I'm deciding that I'm just gonna go straight Power Punches. And then I just miss the third charge move, and he's able to take me out with Frenzy Plant. So then now I want to come back in with Skarmory, just because I can farm him down for energy at least. And then he comes back in with his Skarmory, so I'm gonna hit this Flash Cannon. But at this point, it's not looking too good for me. I am able to hit another Sky Attack just before fainting, but I have Tropius in the back, and he has a shield still, so I know this is very bad for me. Yeah, so I think that switch I made earlier on was definitely unnecessary. But more importantly, I think using that shield on the Acid Spray was a mistake. I think I should have just tanked it, even if it was a Stone Edge. Alright, anyway, moving on to round 5. I'm going up against King Diaz. And you see he has Trash Cloak Wormadam, which is a very unique pick. And he has 4 water types, so that makes me definitely want to use Grass. But here I lead off with Azumarill. He leads off with Skarmory. This is a lead-off matchup we've seen many times. And then in the back I have Probopass and Venusaur. Here he switches to Gallade, and I get this Ice Beam off before he shields it, and then I switch out. But really I should have, looking back, I should have just stayed in. So Azumarill does lose the Gallade in the lead-off match, since Gallade gets 2 Leaf Blades faster than Azumarill gets the Ice Beam, but in that case I had an energy advantage, so I really should have just stayed in. So I basically just sacrificed my Venusaur to take down his Gallade, which hurt because he has a Swampert in the back. And then here I came in with Probopass a bit too early. I should have waited down the switch clock a bit more. And then I took down his Skarmory. Yeah, so you see here, I'm still switch locked into Probopass, which is bad because it allows him to farm out more energy. And then I do switch after getting that Rock Slide off. And here I just had a Mental Lapse. I thought I had 2 shields and he was down to 0, but he still had 1 shield. So I go for the Play Rough, thinking that it would be almost enough to KO. And I shield there, which I really shouldn't have, because that was too quick for it to be an Earthquake, like a Hydro Cannon and an Earthquake. So I should have known that it was 2 Hydro Cannons. I thought it was shielding to be safe, but then here he's able to hit this Earthquake, which is going to take me out, and then Probopass is not going to be able to take down Swampert fast enough. And then so that's game 1. After losing in round 4, I think I kind of lost a little bit of my concentration, so didn't really have my head in the game. But I don't think I used Skarmory against him, but I really should have, because its only bad matchup is against Lantern, and I wouldn't expect him to lead with Lantern, so it probably would have been a safe lead for me. But I lead with Azumarill again. He makes an adjustment and leads with Gallade. If I led with Skarmory here, definitely would have worked out in my favor. But I tried to switch to Venusaur there to tank this Leaf Blade, but it really didn't. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, because in the back I have Venusaur and Probopass, and he has Skarmory and Swampert. So basically, whoever lost switch advantage or lost the lead-off match, which would mean losing switch advantage, would have lost this match. So I guess if I had under-tapped there and been able to get off an Ice Beam and he didn't shield, then I would have been able to win this one. But my Probopass will hard counter his Skarmory, but get hard countered by a Swampert, and my Venusaur will hard counter his Swampert, but get hard countered by his Skarmory. So basically, whoever had Switch advantage in this game was going to win. I just decided to switch there, kind of a blind switch, expecting a water type, but he has Skarmory in the back, of course, so he just follows my switch, and it's basically game over at this point. So I actually did practice against King Diaz the night before a tournament, and he did use his Wormadam, so I wasn't really thrown off by it too much. I didn't really have issues with beating it. It had Bug Bite and Iron Head. I'm not sure if he had a second charge move, but I knew that his other two charge moves are Bug Buzz and Psychic. So not really too much of a worry for me. I guess I'm actually not sure if it beats Medicham, but I figured it's really only a threat to my Venusaur, which Skarmory also covers, so there really was no reason for him to use it anyway. But yeah, congrats again to Crypto Arctic / Crypto Tony. His Silph Road name and in-game name are a little different. But yeah, I think he had a very tricky strategy with using Quagsire with Acid Spray, which I think a lot of people were not prepared for, so he was able to get the best of all of his opponents in these 3-game sets. Ended up finishing in a 3-way tie for 4th, even when considering the tiebreaker score. So yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was hoping I could do better, since I did prepare a lot for this tournament, but you win some, you lose some. That's just the nature of this game, and I've done better in some other tournaments this month, so not too bad overall. And I do still have one more round of my remote Twilight Cup tournament to finish off, and that one I'm actually doing better than I expected, and so we'll see how it finishes up. And if you guys like this video, I hope you'll subscribe, and hope you guys were able to learn something from my mistakes, because I know I definitely did. And then until then, I'll see you in the next video.